Hello, everyone, welcome back to my channel. You might think tattoos are just ink on skin, a harmless expression of style. But today, I'm going to show you why dating a woman with tattoos carries risks most men don't even realize. And before you scroll away thinking, this isn't for me, hear me out. Because what I'm about to reveal will challenge everything you thought you knew about women, attraction, and relationships. First, let's talk about perception. Studies show that men often subconsciously judge women with tattoos differently, sometimes as more rebellious, more adventurous, or even less committed to traditional norms. That thrill you feel when you see her bold designs? It's not just attraction, it's a psychological signal that she thrives on risk and novelty. And here's the thing, novelty can be addictive, but it's not always compatible with long-term stability. A tattoo might draw you in, but it can also hint at deeper lifestyle choices that may not align with your goals or values. Second, let's discuss social signaling. Research suggests women with visible tattoos often face higher scrutiny in social and professional environments. They may have experienced judgment, pushback, or rejection early in life, which can shape their emotional patterns. Some men mistake this for strength or independence, but in reality, it can sometimes mask emotional wounds, defensiveness, or a need to constantly assert themselves. You might feel intrigued, even proud, to be with someone different, but beneath the inked exterior, you could be stepping into emotional territory that requires far more maturity and patience than most men are prepared for. And here's where most men trip up. Attraction blinds judgment. That feeling in your chest when she walks in with confidence, showing off her body art, tricks your brain into ignoring subtle warning signs. You see the surface, a woman who's daring, expressive, maybe even unpredictable. But your brain is wired to overlook patterns that could predict relational instability. Studies on relationship satisfaction indicate that couples where one partner constantly seeks novelty often experience higher conflict over time. What starts as exciting can slowly morph into chaos. So, if you're a man thinking about dating a tattooed woman, don't just think cool or edgy. Think strategically. Ask yourself, am I ready for a partner whose choices might challenge my values, my lifestyle, or even my emotional resilience? Because attraction is fleeting, but patterns are lasting. By the end of this video, you'll understand 11 risks that aren't just stereotypes. They're backed by research, psychology, and real-life experiences. And trust me, some of them will surprise you. The first risk you need to understand is impulsivity and decision-making patterns. Studies repeatedly link visible tattoos with higher levels of sensation-seeking and impulsive behavior. That rush you feel when she laughs wildly, takes risks, or suggests an unplanned adventure. That's not just charm, it's a pattern. Men often confuse excitement for compatibility, but impulsivity in relationships can be subtle and dangerous over time. Think about it. Someone who thrives on spontaneity in life might also struggle with consistency in love. Small decisions, like showing up late, canceling plans, or changing career paths, can escalate into major relational instability. And because men often idealize fun or unpredictable women, these patterns are overlooked until they hit like a storm. Then there's the emotional side. A woman who has embraced bold, visible self-expression often does so after challenging social norms or rebelling against past constraints. That rebellion can be empowering, yes, but it can also carry emotional baggage, unresolved trauma, defensiveness, or a heightened sensitivity to criticism. Some men see this as depth or passion, but the reality is that deep emotional currents often clash with the calm, structured stability most men need for long-term relationships. Here's another twist. Research in social psychology shows that individuals with extensive tattoos often face external judgment, which in turn can make them hyper-aware, guarded, or even prone to testing partners' loyalty. You might feel the thrill of her teasing, her testing boundaries or pushing limits. But it's also a subtle stress test. And unless you're prepared to navigate that, you could find yourself burned emotionally. The danger is compounded by attraction itself. Men are neurologically wired to seek novelty in women. It triggers dopamine, the feel-good hormone. Tattoos amplify this effect, creating an almost magnetic pull toward the woman who appears bold, fearless, and unpredictable. But dopamine-driven attraction doesn't equal compatibility. Over time, the very traits that drew you in, the thrill, the rebellion, the spontaneity, can turn into recurring tension, misunderstandings, and conflict. So here's the question you must ask yourself. Can you handle excitement without chaos? Can you see boldness without mistaking it for loyalty or stability? The first risk isn't superficial. It's about the core dynamics that will define every argument, compromise, and decision in your future together. This is why understanding these patterns isn't judgment, it's preparation. Because when attraction blinds you, research and awareness become your only tools to protect your heart. The second major risk, and one that men rarely see coming, is emotional volatility and attachment challenges. Tattoos are often more than ink. They're markers of life experiences, rebellion, pain, and self-expression. Many women who embrace bold, visible tattoos have navigated emotional turbulence. And while that can create resilience, it can also amplify intensity in relationships. Research in psychology shows a pattern. Individuals who have outwardly bold self-expression sometimes carry heightened emotional sensitivity beneath the surface. This can manifest as rapid mood swings, difficulty regulating frustration, or a need for constant validation. For men who equate confidence with stability, this is a trap. You might interpret emotional intensity as passionate love, but repeated cycles of highs and lows can erode even the strongest bonds over time. Then comes attachment style. Studies indicate a higher prevalence of anxious or avoidant attachment patterns among women with visible body modifications. That means she might crave closeness one moment, but push you away the next, or test your loyalty in ways that seem confusing, unfair, or exhausting. Men often mistake these tests for drama, but it's really a reflection of how early life experiences shaped her emotional responses. And here's the kicker. If you're unprepared, you'll absorb the tension, internalize blame, and end up questioning yourself instead of the dynamic at play. Let's also talk about boundaries. Women with tattoos often assert independence and reject societal norms, which is empowering. But in relationships, it can blur lines. Emotional honesty, compromise, and consistent communication are the pillars of long-term success. If those pillars clash with impulsive emotional expression, the relationship risks instability. Men might feel drawn to her edge at first, but over time, that edge can become a source of repeated stress and misunderstanding. The psychological reality is this. Attraction amplifies perception. The very qualities that excite you, intensity, unpredictability, passion, are the same traits that heighten relational tension if unrecognized. Emotional volatility doesn't mean she's bad or wrong, but it does mean that navigating a life together requires awareness, patience, and emotional discipline far beyond casual dating. So, if you're considering a relationship with a woman whose body tells a story through tattoos, ask yourself, can I match her emotional intensity without losing myself? Can I see the patterns beneath the surface and respond with clarity rather than instinct? Ignoring this risk is how so many men end up heartbroken, confused, and stuck in cycles they never signed up for. Another hidden risk is commitment patterns and long-term relationship stability. When dating a woman with visible tattoos, attraction often blinds men to patterns that could predict future challenges. Studies suggest women with multiple or prominent tattoos are statistically more likely to experience higher rates of relationship changes or short-term partnerships. Not because they are untrustworthy, but because their personality traits often prioritize freedom, self-expression, and novelty over conventional stability. Think about it. A woman whose body is a canvas of personal stories often approaches life differently. Each tattoo represents a decision made in rebellion, in passion, or in pursuit of self-identity. While this can be empowering and fascinating, it may also indicate a life lived outside traditional frameworks, including the way she approaches commitment. She may crave independence, resist constraints, or prioritize self-growth and exploration over building a conventional life together. This isn't about judgment, it's about clarity. Men often misinterpret confidence and boldness as readiness for a deep, committed relationship, when in reality, those qualities can coexist with patterns of unpredictability. Research shows that couples with mismatched approaches to commitment often face higher conflict, reduced satisfaction, and even early separation. It's not about love or attraction. It's about compatibility of life goals, values, and long-term vision. Another layer is the subtle social pressure that comes from her environment. Women with tattoos may have experienced scrutiny, criticism, or judgment from family, friends, or colleagues. This history can lead to caution, testing partners, or reluctance to fully settle. Men often mistake these tests as games or drama, but they are deeply rooted behavioral patterns shaped over years. Recognizing this is crucial because ignoring it is how men end up trapped in relationships that feel unstable, no matter how attractive or passionate the woman seems. Finally, there's the interplay between novelty and long-term satisfaction. Psychological studies consistently show that humans are drawn to novelty. The unexpected thrill triggers dopamine, creating intense attraction. Tattoos amplify this effect. The danger is that over time, that same need for novelty can create friction in relationships that demand consistency, compromise, and shared goals. So, before you get swept away by physical attraction or the allure of a free spirit, ask yourself, can I align my vision for the future with someone whose life patterns may be unpredictable? Attraction is fleeting. Patterns define longevity. Understanding this is not pessimism. It's strategic self-protection and preparation for a relationship that won't blindside you emotionally. Now let's get to a risk that cuts straight to the heart of every man's fears: trust and relational boundaries. When dating a woman with tattoos, studies suggest there's a subtle but measurable tendency for boundaries to be tested more often, both hers and yours. That doesn't mean she's inherently unfaithful or manipulative, but her patterns of self-expression, novelty-seeking, and independence can create dynamics that challenge traditional expectations of loyalty and predictability. Here's the psychological truth men rarely consider. Attraction can distort perception. The very traits that draw you in, boldness, confidence, mystery, can also amplify relational testing. You might experience constant small tests of your attention, your loyalty, or even your emotional endurance. Over time, this can erode trust, leaving you constantly questioning whether her choices reflect love or simply a need for personal freedom. Research in social and personality psychology shows that individuals who embrace visible self-expression, like tattoos, often prioritize authenticity and personal agency. That can be incredibly liberating. But it can also lead to tension in relationships where partners expect consistency, predictability, and compromise. Men often misinterpret these behaviors as flirtation, inattention, or even potential infidelity, when in reality, they are rooted in self-assertion and personal autonomy. And here's the kicker. Repeated boundary testing can create a cycle of anxiety and overcompensation. You may feel the urge to control or secure her attention, which only triggers more testing and emotional pushback. Studies on relationship satisfaction repeatedly confirm that mismatched approaches to autonomy and commitment are major predictors of conflict, resentment, and eventual separation. This isn't about labeling women with tattoos as untrustworthy. It's about recognizing the subtle psychological dynamics at play. A tattooed woman might be loyal, devoted, and loving, but the patterns of independence, self-expression, and novelty-seeking mean that trust isn't passive. It must be earned, maintained, and constantly navigated. So before you let yourself be swept away, ask yourself, can I handle a partner whose love comes with intensity, unpredictability, and frequent boundary negotiation? Can I distinguish between attraction-driven excitement and the practical reality of commitment? Understanding this now could save your heart, your time, and your peace of mind. Another risk men rarely anticipate is the impact of social perception and external pressures. Women with visible tattoos often face judgment from family, friends, co-workers, and even strangers. Studies confirm that this external scrutiny can influence their behavior, emotional patterns, and relationship dynamics in ways that men rarely see until it's too late. When society constantly questions or criticizes a woman's choices, it can create a heightened need for validation, independence, or even subtle rebellion. That thrill of dating a woman who doesn't care what anyone thinks can feel intoxicating, but it also comes with hidden challenges. Emotional energy that could flow into building a stable, supportive partnership may instead be consumed by navigating criticism, defending personal choices, or asserting autonomy. Research in social psychology shows that individuals who face repeated judgment often develop coping mechanisms that can impact their relationships. Some become hyper-independent, resistant to compromise, or sensitive to perceived control. Others may test partners' loyalty, not out of malice, but as a way to assert self-agency and protect their autonomy. Men often misread these behaviors as drama, indifference, or lack of commitment, yet they are rooted in deeply ingrained psychological patterns. Then there's the effect on your social circle. Dating someone with visible tattoos can change how your friends, family, or colleagues perceive you. Subtle judgment or criticism directed at her can bleed into your interactions, creating tension and stress that neither of you anticipated. Over time, these pressures can amplify minor disagreements into significant conflicts, and men who aren't aware of this often feel blindsided. Even more subtly, the interplay between attraction and social perception can reinforce risky patterns. The excitement you feel when she boldly defies norms is partially dopamine-driven, magnified by the forbidden energy her tattoos symbolize. But dopamine doesn't account for long-term satisfaction, emotional stability, or alignment in life goals. External pressures can exacerbate these challenges, making even small issues feel monumental. So before you dive headfirst, ask yourself, can I navigate not just her personality and patterns, but also the social dynamics that come with dating a woman who lives outside conventional expectations? Attraction is powerful, but social reality and relational resilience will determine whether this connection thrives or collapses. Now let's address a risk most men overlook: long-term lifestyle compatibility. When dating a woman with visible tattoos, the patterns that first drew you in, independence, spontaneity, risk-taking, can later clash with the daily realities of life together. Studies show that couples who mismatch in lifestyle priorities, whether it's career focus, social habits, or leisure choices, experience higher rates of tension, dissatisfaction, and eventual separation. Think about the energy it takes to maintain a relationship where one partner thrives on unpredictability while the other values stability. Early on, unpredictability feels exciting: last-minute trips, spontaneous nights out, bold fashion or lifestyle choices. But over months and years, those same traits can create conflict. Bills, family obligations, career planning, and long-term decision-making require consistency and compromise. A partner who prioritizes freedom over structure may unintentionally undermine those necessities. Another layer is social integration. Research suggests that women with visible tattoos often move in circles that embrace novelty and rebellion. If your lifestyle or social expectations differ significantly, small frictions can escalate into major disagreements. Men who initially dismiss these differences as minor often find that they compound over time, creating emotional fatigue and resentment. Then there's the subtle influence of identity. Tattoos are permanent markers of self-expression, often tied to deeply personal values or experiences. A woman who chooses self-expression over conformity may expect the same in her partner. This can be empowering for some men, but for others, it creates friction if their values lean toward tradition, predictability, or a more structured lifestyle. The clash may not be dramatic at first, but it slowly erodes harmony and shared vision. Finally, lifestyle conflicts interact with the emotional and psychological patterns we've already discussed. Impulsivity, intensity, attachment styles, and boundary testing. When excitement and novelty meet differing long-term goals, the result is often tension that neither partner anticipated. Attraction alone cannot bridge these gaps. It requires deliberate awareness, emotional intelligence, and proactive communication. So ask yourself, can I maintain my vision for the future alongside someone whose patterns may continually test my patience, priorities, and expectations? Long-term compatibility isn't about attraction or passion. It's about alignment. Ignoring this risk is the fastest route to heartbreak, disguised as adventure. By now, you've seen the layers beneath the ink. The 11 risks that studies and psychology reveal about dating a woman with tattoos. Impulsivity, emotional volatility, attachment challenges, commitment patterns, boundary testing, social pressures, lifestyle clashes. Each risk alone can shape a relationship in ways men rarely anticipate. Together they form a web that can pull your heart into turbulence if you're unprepared. But here's the truth that most men ignore. None of this is about good or bad. Tattoos don't make someone unlovable, unreliable, or unworthy. They're a visible marker of experiences, choices, and patterns that demand awareness, discernment, and emotional intelligence from anyone who decides to share a life with her. Attraction blinds judgment, but awareness sharpens it, and knowledge is your first shield. The question you must ask yourself, honestly, without ego, without wishful thinking, is this: can I handle not just the thrill, but the responsibility? Can I navigate a relationship where love comes with intensity, unpredictability, and patterns that challenge my patience and emotional resilience? It's a personal calculation, a mental equation that only you can solve, because your values, goals, and emotional bandwidth are unique. Here's your personal challenge. Think about your ideal partner and relationship. Now, subtract the thrill, add the consistency, factor in emotional patterns, and consider long-term alignment. Can you solve that equation in a way that feels true to you? Drop your answer in the comments. I genuinely want to see how you process this. If this video gave you insight, clarity, or even a slight pause to reconsider patterns in your dating life, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this. Relationships are complex, attraction is powerful, but understanding the psychology beneath the surface is what separates fleeting passion from lasting connection. Remember, awareness isn't pessimism, it's preparation. The men who thrive in love aren't the ones blindly chasing excitement. They're the ones who understand patterns, read signals, and make choices that protect both their hearts and their futures.